what is the concept behind dreams in general? What's the purpose of a dream? So really, when a person's neshama, Al-Pi Kabbalah and Rizal says, when a person's neshama is residing in the guf kind of boxes in the neshama, and it's somewhat limited in terms of its vision. The neshama can't see past the guf, meaning the guf provides some physical limitation. When a person goes to sleep, the neshama goes to Shemaya, and it gets exposed to a much larger vision of what it can accomplish, and then it comes back down. That's what's happening in the process of a dream. And so the purpose of a dream, when we say dream on, means intellect only goes so far. A dream goes beyond intellect. Intellect says, okay, I understand how you can get to this and to this and this. A dreamer goes, even if it doesn't I can't explain to you logically exactly how it's going to work, but I'm dreaming beyond seichel, right? The dreaming goes a little bit beyond the seichel. Seichel limits you to what you can understand. Intellect limits you to what you understand. And the dream allows you to kind of push further than your intellect. And that's precisely what a dream is. Yosef, who's going to be the Mashiach ben Yosef, his role is to create the vision for Klal Yisrael and get them unified until the Mashiach ben Yehuda comes in. But Yosef's role is to create that vision, right? And that's why this whole process is about dreams, because that's really Yosef's, that's his forte, the idea of creating a dream and a vision. By the way, the danger of a dream is when it turns into a fantasy. Fantasy is totally self-serving. It's not a vision to go beyond yourself to something holier. Fantasy is very self-serving. And there's a very fine line between dreaming and fantasizing. And that's the koach hadimyon, is called the power of the imagination, is what the Nachash used. He used that fantasy to say, Adam Achav, eat from this tree, Vayisem Kelokim, you'll be like God. He created this fantasy illusion. And the Sforno calls the Nachash the koach hadimyon, the power of fantasy. The good part of fantasy is imagination. That's healthy. Imagination is very healthy. Allows us to dream beyond what our seichel will tell us. But when you go past that and become self-serving, that's fantasy. I want to do something about Hanukkah, just very briefly. Yeah.
One quick note. Rabbi Yitzhak Shalom has a very interesting Devar Torah for this parsha where he talks about dreams. And he makes a point that for Abraham's family, for the Avot, a single dream could be anything, but a dream that's repeated is prophecy. The brothers, when they hear the first dream, get very angry. When they hear the second dream,
they get jealous.
They're jealous, but they're quiet.
But they're jealous because now they realize it might be true. That's why they're jealous. They go from anger to jealousy. The first time
Right.
angry, they think you're fantasizing.
But
the second time dreaming, they think, oh, this might be true. Now they're getting jealous. Right.
Yaakov doesn't hear about the first dream, he only hears the second dream. So he gets angry at Yosef, but he thinks about it, and he takes action, because
right.
the next thing he does is sends him
right.
to Shechem.
Right,
but the point is that he doesn't know that it was a repeated dream, so he doesn't know whether.
Although Rashi tells us that, it's true. He it's implied by the Medrash that he kind of, for the brothers, not to get, he kind of says, oh, it's not possible this dream can be true because your mother died, so how can it, right? But he knew what it really referred to, so he kind of was dismissive of it just for the sake of the brothers. But it's true, even in halacha, we generally speaking, we're supposed to be dismissive of dreams. If you have a dream, you don't pay attention to it. You just don't. The Gemara says 95% of all dreams are just extensions of daydreaming, and don't worry about it. If there's a repetition in a dream, and it really gnaws at you, then there might be something you need to do about it. But right, repetition is what is a sign. But otherwise, we did dismiss. Yes.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When Yosef was away from his father for 17 years, how come he never felt sorry for the father and sent a message?
That's a great question. That's a terrific question. Rabban asked that question. All of us should ask that question. And maybe we'll leave that next time. We'll get to that because it's a whole conversation. And I want to talk about when Yaakov comes down to Mitzrayim. That's when we'll talk about it. But why that wasn't disclosed is a great question. Ramban talks about it. All of us should ask why Yosef didn't share that he was there. He could have said, Federal Express, I'm here, right?
He had the dream, and he had to wait for the dream to come true. So
So we'll talk about that.
There's a whole debate from Har Etzion and the archives about it. I can show you where to find it.
It's a very valid question, very important question. Why Yosef didn't feel the sense of responsibility to take Yaakov out of his agony.
Or why Yaakov didn't
and they
go
say
and search
Yaakov
for
knew that he was
Joseph.
alive also.
because he knew he wasn't being consoled. Because he knew he wasn't being consoled. Right.
Yaakov sent a messenger to Esau, as a messenger, your brother is here, I want to see you. But Joseph didn't say his father, I'm alive. His father was dying, going crazy. It's my son, his daughter is dead. 17 years, when he came to power,
It's a great question.
Tell my father, I'm okay, I'm alive.
It requires a really long conversation about it. So, I want to talk about the Al Nisim for a second. Actually, before doing this, very very quickly, halacha, very interesting halacha. Tell me, I don't know how you the Mechaber, based on the Rambam, says that the mitzvah of Hadlakas Ner Chanukah is that one person lights for the entire house. Never should be so. If you want to do a Hiddur mitzvah, then one person lights for all the members of the family. If you want to do an extra Hiddur mitzvah, then that person lights for every member of the family by what day it is. So let's say there's 5 members of the family, and it's the second night, so we'll be lighting 10 candles. Right? Everyone got that? Is that what you do?
The only mitzvah that we do according to Ramah is
Chanukah?
is
Really?
one for the entire family.
That's not the Ramah. The Ramah,
Or
the Mechaber. Yeah, makes sense.
Exactly.
Right. So that's what you light for the entire family, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Only male, not female.
Okay, the Ramah, but according to the Mechaber, which the Ram is based on the Rambam said even if you light for everybody, even if you light, you're lighting for everybody. You are lighting for everybody.
Yotze everybody.
I know, but even if you want to do a Hiddur mitzvah, if there are 5 members, you'll light 5 candles the first night for 5 different people. Do you do that as well?
No, we in our family,
we
but
do
You only light 1 candle at the first night.
one menorah for
two.
Everybody.
well,
And 2
for
the
whole
second
family.
night and 3 the third night.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, but the Rambam said if you want to do a Hiddur mitzvah, you can light per the members of the family, but it's you're doing the lighting. The Ramah, the Ashkenazim, they don't do that. What they do is each person lights for their own candle, 1 the first night, 2 the second night. Right. The mitzvah is again the main mitzvah is 1 person lights for everybody. Hiddur mitzvah is that each person lights. Hiddur mitzvah is that each person lights per candle. But again, the difference according to Rambam, 1 person's lighting for everybody. And then if one lights per member of the household, he lights 5 candles because of 5 members. And if he wants to light per night, he'll write, it's the 4th night, he'll write 5 times 4 candles for everybody. According to the Ramah, each person lights for himself. What's this halacha based on? It's a longer piece by the Grizz, it's a beautiful Lumdisher piece. There's another machlekes that's totally independent of this. And it goes like this. There's a Gemara in Shabbos. The Gemara in Shabbos says like this. Doing a mitzvah milah, it's called tzitzin, there are parts of the skin that you must cut off. And the parts of the skin you don't have to cut off, but if you do, it's called a hiddur mitzvah. So the Gemara says that as long as you're doing the mitzvah milah, you should go back and also go and cut the parts of you can make a hiddur mitzvah on the parts of the skin that you don't have to cut off. However, Pirish, once you stopped, but meaning you already did the mitzvah, you don't go back anymore for the tzitzit she'ein makvin. You don't go back for those parts of the skin that are necessary. It's only hiddur mitzvah. That's what the Gemara says. Rashi learns the Gemara differently. Rashi says that Gemara that says once you stop, you don't have to go back. It's talking about on Shabbos, and there's a reason why he talks about Shabbos. On Shabbos, with the whole mitzvah milah is a special exclusion, right? Exception rather, that you're allowed to milah docha Shabbos. So via the Gemara is saying once you stop, you can't be machal Shabbos just for a hiddur mitzvah, right? So Rashi learns that case of the Gemara, where the Gemara says that you once you stop cutting and you did the main mitzvah, you don't go back anymore. Right? So that's talking about on Shabbos. Because on Shabbos, once you did the ikar mitzvah, so now you did the mitzvah. Now to go back after and do hiddur mitzvah on a Shabbos, who says you're allowed to do that? But of course, Rashi implies during the week, if you stop, and you can go back, you should go back and complete it, right? The hiddur mitzvah, you follow? So it seems to be machlokes during the week. If you did a mitzvah milah and you completed the mitzvah, but you left out some of the hiddur mitzvah, do you go back for that or not? According to Rashi, yes. It's only on Shabbos you don't go back because it's Shabbos. And according to the way others learn the Gemara, the Ramah, and others, you don't go back. What's the machlokes based on? The machlokes is based on fascinating insight. Hiddur mitzvah, can hiddur mitzvah be performed independent of a mitzvah? In other words, is hiddur mitzvah something independent, or something that only makes sense while you're performing the mitzvah? You can be mahadeh the mitzvah. But once the mitzvah is complete, there's no concept. There's no hiddur mitzvah doesn't stand alone. It's only while you're performing the mitzvah you can enhance that performance. But once you complete the mitzvah and it's done, you can't do hiddur mitzvah by itself. And that's why it would seem by mitzvah milah, the one sheet that says during the week, once you stop, you can go back because he must hold that wad. Hiddur mitzvah is independent. Rather than I can do a standalone hiddur mitzvah, and even though I completed the mitzvah milah, I can do what people? I can go back and do the hiddur mitzvah, because hiddur mitzvah doesn't have to be done at the exact same time as the mitzvah. It could be something added onto the mitzvah later on. And the Rashi sheet that says no. And the other sheet that holds it, no, you can't go back even during a week, or you don't have to go back because it's not necessary, because you can't do a hiddur mitzvah once the milah is done. Right? That's the machlekes. If you take a look, it's fascinating. Those two same opinions are the exact same opinions by Hanukkah. Meaning, the one that says on Shabbos, you don't go back, is the one that says, is the Rambam Shita, that says only one person lights for everybody. And the one that says you can go back and do the milah or the hiddur mitzvah later on, is the one that says that each person lights for himself. What's the connection? It's a beautiful connection now. The Rambam obviously holds what? That hiddur mitzvah can only be done while performing the mitzvah milah itself. That's why by milah, if he's already stopped the mitzvah milah, you can't do hiddur mitzvah itself. That's why the Rambam insists that one person has to light for everybody. And even for hiddur mitzvah. Why? Because once I stop lighting, and that's the mitzvah, how can you do a hiddur mitzvah independent of the mitzvah? It makes no sense. According to the Rambam, it's the same person. The Rambam holds the person who lights the mitzvah can also do hiddur mitzvah while he's doing the mitzvah, do a hiddur mitzvah. But the Ramah, who's the one that holds it, even by milah, there's an independent mitzvah milah of hiddur mitzvah. You can do a hiddur mitzvah milah, meaning even after milah is done, I can do back those extra pieces of skin that you don't have to do, but you do hiddur mitzvah even independent. That's the Ramah sheet over there. That's what Ramah Taka holds over here also, that each person could light for themselves, because hiddur mitzvah could be independent of the mitzvah itself. So the connection between mitzvah milah and hadlakas there is this concept. How do you understand hiddur mitzvah? Is hiddur mitzvah something that enhances the performance of the mitzvah only when performing the mitzvah itself? Or can hiddur mitzvah be something independent of the mitzvah that even after the mitzvah is gone, you can throw on top of it later on, the hiddur mitzvah? And the Grizz wants to connect the two machlekes as what's called the shitosim, that those opinions side by side. Let's mention one thing about Chanukah, Ashkafah, the Al Nisim. So when you study Al Nisim, it's fascinating. If you look at the parallel between the one on Chanukah and one on Purim, B'mei Ma'aseh Ben Yochanan Kohen Gadol, B'mei Merech Vayester, Kish Amar Aleim Haman, Kish Amar Malchus Yovan in Russia, right? There seem to be, right? Lashkicham Tarsecha, Levim Tarsecha, by Haman Bikesh Lahashim Lahari, right? Okay, so the parallels they seem very similar, except actually by Haman it says Bikesh Lahashim Lahari. He made an attempt to destroy, and by Chanukah it says Lashkicham Tarasecha. It doesn't say Bikesh Lashkicham Tarasecha, meaning that for Haman's a threat when he attempts to be a threat. Yovan's a threat just by his existence. The whole essence of Yovan, but its essence is a threat to the concept of Yaakov. There's no bikesh. You don't need the bikesh. His existence is a threat. And what's that threat? So we say Lashkicham Torasecha ulavir mechotzenecha. What did Yaakov want to do? He wanted to make us forget our Torah and also not to do the mitzvahs. What does it mean Lashkicham Torasecha? To make you forget the Torah. How do you make someone forget something? Say to you, okay, I want you to forget that. That's a sure way to make sure he remembers it, right? Mm-hmm. How do you make someone forget? It says, Lashkicham Torasecha. How do you do that? No, there was a story, there were two cities that were vying for a rabbi's position. Each one wanted the rabbi to be the rabbi of their town. So each one's offering different perks. We have this, we have this, we have this. And finally one says, in our town, we have buried from the most illustrious rabbis from the previous generations. So he couldn't resist the celebrity status that this town had all those famous rabbis buried there. So he chose that town. When he got to that town, it was not true. There's no cemetery, no famous rabbis buried there. He said, what's going on? He said, what we meant was those rabbis, their memories, their Torah is totally buried here. Nobody remembers a thing of them.
Oh my God.
Totally buried. Right?
Oh my God.
Totally buried. So what does that mean? It's long forgotten. Totally forgotten. They're dead. What Yavan wanted to do was make us forget our Torah. How? By burying it and making it dead. How do you make it dead? You ever walk into a library? You're met with dead silence. Walk into a base medrash, everyone's yelling and screaming, right? Yavan said, we're going to translate your Torah. And he did that. And a lot of people said, that's great. Yavan wants our Torah as a sign of recognition. But Chazal said, no, blackest day in the history of the Jewish people. Why? Because they were going to take that Torah, translate it, treat it like a library book, and put it on a bookshelf with all the other great cultures that they no doubt translated. If you treat Torah like a book, it's static, it's dead, and you forget it. Torah, we know, is not a book. It's a book of life, in the sense that we're interfacing with Hashem's wisdom. We're actually interfacing with HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself. The reason why we feel so engaged and alive is because we're touching HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're partnering with Hashem. And so what they wanted to do was reduce the Torah to something static. You put it on a shelf in the library, it becomes dead and forgotten, it becomes buried. What they opposed was specifically the oral law. Because the oral law is where we get engaged. You and I have conversations now with what's pshat, right? That's when it's alive. And Torah is alive and well, it's not dead. We know there are two kelim in the base of Mikdash. Many kelim in the base of Mikdash. Each vessel represents something. There's an aron, there's a mizbeach, there's a shulchan, there's a menorah, and the shulchan, obviously, the table represents prosperity, and the mizbeach represents sacrifice, and the aron represents the Torah, obviously. And what does the menorah represent? The Torah. Why do you need two for Torah? Aron and a mizbeach? Aron and a menorah? Because the aron is a Torah Shabbat, the menorah is a Torah Shabbat. They had no problem with the Torah Shabbat. Torah Shabbat is static. They had no. What they opposed was specifically the Torah Shabbat. In fact, it says they burnt the Torah on a bridge. Chazal say. What does that mean? What it means, they burnt the Torah that bridges between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They said you can study Torah as a science, as whatever you want, but it's a bridge. It's connected with you and Hashem. You interface with Hashem. That's what they pose. But that's why we feel alive when we study Torah, because we're actually feeling this connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that's ultimately what we did at the end. Was the slam dunk victory over Yavan is the symbol of the menorah, and the nace took place with the menorah, because the menorah represents the Torah Shel Peh, and that's exactly what they wanted to snuff out. But that's where we feel alive in the Torah Shel Peh, when we have our partnership with HaKadosh Baruch Hu in understanding Torah. We partner with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and therefore the end is interesting. The end will end with this: the Al Nisim. By Purim ends v'solo Esav v'zbanav v'leitz, and they hung him on a tree. Great. And here by Chanukah it says they found the Pach Shemen, Idliku Neiros, and then the Kavu Shmonis Ben Chanukah Elu Loisahalu, and they established these days of Chanukah. It doesn't say by Purim v'Kavu Yimei Purim, right? If you keep the parallel, just say v'Kavu Yimei Purim. It doesn't say that. Only by Chanukah. Because by Chanukah, that gufa was part of the victory. That we are part of Hashem, and the point that we could create another Yom Tov. We created Chanukah. There's a Yom Tov called Chanukah that has Kedusha. Who made a Kaddish? We made a Kaddish, because we partnered with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we created this Kedusha. That's why we end the Kavish Meis Chanukah, because that's part of the victory over the Greeks, is that we established a Yom Tov. By Purim, it's certainly we celebrate it. But that's not the victory. By Chanukah, the victory gufa is that we made a yontif. That shows that no, we do partner with Hashem. Because the Yavan mind, the science mind says, we know science says matter nor energy can neither be created nor destroyed. And we say, no, we can create Kedusha. And that's like foreign to them. They can't wrap their heads around the idea that we create Kedusha. And we did that. The Kavish Meis Chanukah, we established a yontif with Kedusha. And that's why we say, Haneres Halalu Kodeshem. We don't say Haneres Halalu Kodeshem. Treat them as if they were holy. No, they aren't actually holy, right? So that's what we celebrate Chanukah. Our partnership with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's what Yavan wanted to break. That's why they wanted us to burn a Torah on the bridge, which is to connect between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so to speak. And that's how they wanted to deaden the Torah. Just keep it like a library book. Study like a library. The library is dead. Here, in Beis Medrash, it's alive because we're interfacing. We have a stake in this Torah. Hashem says, I want you to partner me, figure out what Pshat is. We have a stake here. So it becomes alive. And that's really what the thing's all about. When I end the interesting halacha question, stop here. Can you use scented candles on Chanukah? What do you think?
Can you what?
Can you use scented candles?
No.
I've never heard of anyone doing it.
I don't know. I'm surprised no one's even thought of it. What do you think?
No.
No, you can't? Why not?
Because
There's
it smells good.
one thing,
Why don't I answer my question?
one
Only
connection
for the
from the
light,
Torah.
not for the smell.
The Rashi about the caravan that took Yosef.
Yeah, okay, right. That's
with
true,
the-
but I'm not going there. Okay, it's good.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think? Can you, can't you?
No.
So,
That takes away from the light itself. You know,
Does it?
Say it smells good.
Huh?
You can
You're
use
supposed
scented candles for
Yeah,
Hanukkah.
everybody's will
Cook with it.
Interesting. So I'm going to tell you this. Okay, why can't you read, or why can't you benefit from the light of Hanukkah? Well, that's why you have a shamus, right?
Right.
Why can you benefit? So the Mishnah gives two reasons why. One reason is because we want it to be apparent to everybody that you're lighting for a mitzvah. In those days, you lit oil lamps all the time. So how can you tell it's the same mitzvah? If you don't use it for light, obviously you're doing the same mitzvah, right? The other reason is because since the menorah also comes to remind us of the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash, and the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash, you are not allowed to benefit from the light. So also we say, treat this menorah the same way, you can't benefit from the light. So, I think like this. If you use reason number one, which is that the reason why you can't benefit from the light is so people should realize you're doing the same mitzvah. So if you have scented candles, again, you have the same problem. How do I do the same mitzvah? You do it because you want to have a great smell, right? But if the reason is because in the basement you couldn't benefit the light, well, this is not about light, this is about smell. Who says you can't smell, right? So I think it depends on the reason. If the reason is because of to make sure that everyone knows it's a mitzvah, then you can't use scented candles. But I'm not saying you send the candle. I'm just kind of just talking it out. But the idea is that the reason you have to realize the two reasons why you're not supposed to benefit from the light on Hanukkah. All right, we'll stop here. Pick it up next time.
So is the
I
Makover?
heard a fascinating connection about Hanukkah from Rabbi Foreman. Every other holiday has a connection to text, Torah
Right.
or Megillah.
Hanukkah doesn't, right?
Hanukkah doesn't.
Because it's Tarz Peh. That's the
Right.
ultimate reason why.
Okay, but suppose you wanted to figure out how do you celebrate Hanukkah. We had the military victory, we had the story about the oil. Where would you go? Well, where would you go to look up the holidays? You go to Amor, chapter 23 of Vayetzei. If you want to figure out what to do for the next holiday, a new holiday, we know that
Go to the next parsha.
Vayikra is connected. Look at the next.
Balas Chassaneris. That's a Rakeach. That's not his pshat. That's a Rakeach. That's a Makubal from hundreds of years ago. The Rakeach. Rakeach is a remes mechanik is that right after all the Tovim, it says Balas Chassaneris. Right? Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, it's a Rakeach.
It's a beautiful.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's brilliant.
Yeah.